So every December, we do a roundup of the best vehicles per segment. Last week we did PPVs. Today we'll do budget crossovers. We'll classify a budget crossover as something that sells under 1.4 million pesos. So Mazdas and Subarus will not be included on this list. In this video, we'll rank them in different categories. We'll rank them according to price. We'll choose the best in tech, the best in driving feel, the best interior, etc. So which one or which ones are worth your money? Let's find out. The word budget crossover doesn't quite have the same meaning now as it did 2 years ago. It's just a very different landscape now. If before you expected plastic dashboards, fabric seats, and bare features, now you expect borderline luxury, especially at the upper end of the spectrum. I think some of the crossovers on this list are better than some premium crossovers from 2 years ago. Wink wink, RAV4. And it's thanks to these newcomers like Geely, Chery, and MG. It may not be a good thing for the mainstream brands, but it's definitely a good thing for us consumers. Anyway, let's start this roundup. Let's start with the most affordable ones. The ones priced under 900,000 pesos. At third place should be the MG ZST Style Plus. I think it's one of the nicest looking crossovers at this price bracket. It also gets leather seats. Make sure that you go for the Style Plus and not just the Style if you want a 6.4-inch infotainment screen. The Style only gets an old school 2-din radio. The exterior and the interior look pretty good for the price, but it has a 4-speed transmission, and that's why it's in third place. At second place would be the Kia Stonic LX. I feel like among the crossovers in this price bracket, this one is the most fun to drive. It has a 6-speed transmission, which feels a lot more responsive than the CVTs or the 4-speed transmissions of its competitors. I think it also looks very youthful and stylish, especially in brighter colors. In terms of interior space and dimensions, it really is more like a lifted hatchback, which means it's not very spacious. Plus, the only variant of the Stonic that you can buy under 900,000 pesos is the LX, which still comes with fabric seats and a polyurethane steering wheel. So it only gets second place. At first place would be the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro. Priced at 818,000 pesos, the Tiggo 2 features leather seats, a leather-wrapped steering wheel, cruise control, a 9-inch screen with Apple CarPlay, a high-resolution reverse camera with active guidelines. So it is pretty feature-packed for the price. The main downside is the CVT transmission, which isn't the most engaging out there. But this is one of the most affordable in this price bracket, and it's also one of the most feature-packed. So it gets first place. And that's 100. The next price bracket is our mid-range. So in this category, we'll rank the ones priced between 900,000 pesos and 1.1 million pesos. At third place would be the MG ZS Alpha. The ZS Alpha sells for 998,000 pesos, and at that price you get a leather interior, an 8-inch screen with Apple CarPlay. It gets a panoramic sunroof, power seats, cruise control. This unit right here has a 2-tone color scheme, and I think it looks pretty good. But note that most units come with a black interior. The engine only has 118 horsepower, but that is expected in this price bracket. Its main drawback though is its 4-speed transmission. At second place is the Chery Tiggo 5X. The Tiggo 5X is the only top-of-the-line variant in this price bracket. And in terms of toys and tech, it is relatively well equipped. It has a 9-inch screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It has power leather seats, it has a reverse camera with active guidelines, and it has a sunroof. Overall, the interior, especially the dashboard, looks pretty premium for its price. This is not really ideal for those who are looking for a sporty ride, as its naturally aspirated 1.5-liter engine doesn't put out a lot of forces. And its CVT transmission is far from sporty. But for those who don't care about that, for those who are just looking for a comfortable ride for getting from point A to point B, this would be a good choice. And at first place is the Geely Coolray Premium. The Premium is the mid-range variant of the Coolray. It sells for 1,088,000 pesos, just touching the upper end of our price range. Mechanically, it's the same as the top-spec Coolray Sport. It gets the same class-leading 177 horsepower engine and the same responsive 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. The interior looks pretty similar, except that it's all black. And the seats don't look as nice. It gets the same high-resolution 10.25-inch screen as the Coolray Sport, but you don't get a 360 camera. But you do get a reverse camera and a right side mirror camera. Our next price bracket is 1.1 to 1.3 million pesos. But we'll save this one for last because our winner here will be our best budget crossover of 2021. Next category is Best Interior. At third place would be the Geely Coolray. This was the first Chinese interior that truly impressed me. Unlike Chinese cars before, this is not just good for the money. It's better than anything Japanese or Korean that you could buy in the Philippines, with the exception of Mazdas and luxury models. I mean, this makes any crossover with a Toyota or a Mitsubishi badge look pretty ancient by comparison. The materials are top-notch, and the design looks ahead of the mainstream brands by at least a generation. At second place would be the Ford Territory Titanium. The Ford Territory was released after the Coolray, and it looks like Ford took notes. Like the Coolray, it has a more premium look and feel compared to mainstream brands. I think it has a more mature approach to interior design. You get some faux wood, the colors are a bit more muted, and it looks more classy and luxurious than sporty. I ranked it a bit higher than the Coolray because the materials are just a bit better. Not by much, just a bit. You get more soft touch materials, the leather feels just a bit better, but overall they're very close. At first place is the Changan CS75. This is not as popular as the previous two, but the interior looks like something straight out of a Mercedes. It looks like you're surrounded by a panorama of screens. You have a huge 12-inch infotainment screen next to your instrument cluster, which is also a screen. You get red leather, which may be a love it or hate it thing. I like it. You get these nicely sculpted seats. Almost everything is soft touch or leather wrapped. The dashboard is driver centric, and everything just looks coherent. Next category is Best in Tech. So in this category, we'll rank them based on high-tech features, which includes driver assist systems, active safety features, and toys like 360 cameras and wireless chargers. So at third place would be the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. The Tiggo 7 Pro has a high-resolution 10-inch screen with Apple CarPlay and QD-Link for Android. It has ambient lighting. It has a wireless phone charger, dual-zone climate control. It has power seats with adjustable lumbar support. It has a 360 camera, but it's not as clear or as smooth as the one on the Coolray. At second place would be the Geely Coolray. The Coolray doesn't have more features than the Tiggo 7 Pro, but what it has is just a bit more impressive. Its 360 camera is among the best in the segment. It also has automatic parking. Now, it is debatable if this is a useful feature, but it definitely is very impressive to look at. And at first place would be the Ford Territory Titanium. I think the Ford Territory wins this by a huge margin. So this is the only vehicle in this price bracket that comes with adaptive cruise. So if you want adaptive cruise on another crossover, you'd have to spend almost 1.7 million. So adaptive cruise is basically like autopilot for your car. It applies the brakes and the gas automatically depending on the speed of traffic. And the Territory's adaptive cruise works really well, especially in stop-and-go traffic. I drove the Territory from Tagaytay to Manila in heavy stop-and-go traffic along SLEX. It was a 4-hour trip, and I wasn't as tired as I should have been when I got home. And that's thanks mostly to adaptive cruise. The Territory is also the only one here with automatic braking, which I think is a very important feature. It also has wireless charging, it has power ventilated seats, it has a high-resolution 360 camera, a 10-inch screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It also has automatic parking. Okay, I'm not doing anything, just stepping on the brakes. This is a little unnerving. I'm gonna trust the technology, and if I hit something, then it's not gonna be my fault, right? Ford? So basically, this has everything that the competition offers and a lot more. Next category is best value for money. Best value for money doesn't necessarily mean most affordable. It's about how much car you get for the price. At third place is the Chery Tiggo 2 Pro. The Tiggo 2 Pro is on this list because it's just so affordable. At 818,000 pesos, it's one of the cheapest crossovers that you can buy. And it's not at all bare bones. You get leather, you get tech, you get LED lighting, and you get a very stylish exterior. At second place is the Geely Okavango Urban. The Urban sells for 1.3 million pesos. It has tri-zone climate control, a high-resolution 360 camera, a mild hybrid system, and it offers a level of refinement and luxury that you could never get before from mainstream 7-seaters at this price. And at first place is the Ford Territory Titanium. Ford wasn't gonna settle for second place when they launched the Territory. They packed it with everything. The only thing missing here is a power tailgate. Aside from that, this has everything that you can get from its competitors and a lot more. This is the only crossover that you can buy at this price that comes with adaptive cruise control, automatic braking, lane departure warning, rear cross traffic alert. It has ventilated seats, a wireless charger. It even has the Coolray's auto park function. And considering all that, Ford still managed to price it about the same as its Chinese competitors. Whatever badge it may be wearing, it deserves top spot. The fact that it wears a mainstream badge just makes it even more impressive. So next category is best in driving feel. So in this category, we'll rank them based on how sporty they feel to drive. So the important aspects here are acceleration and handling. At third place would be the MG ZST. The MG ZST has a good power to weight ratio. Stepping on the gas is pretty satisfying as it delivers power continuously up until the upper end of the tachometer. I did a 0 to 100 run on it, and it was able to do it in less than 10 seconds, which is the second best next to the Geely Coolray. The steering ratio is a bit slow though, so it doesn't feel as nimble as it should. Okay, so this might come as a surprise, but at second place is the Ford EcoSport. I think the EcoSport is one of the best handling and one of the most peppy, small budget crossovers that I've driven. It doesn't have the most power, but power is immediate, there is no lag, and it's ridiculous how much tire squeal you get when you just lightly tap the throttle. Power is there at the bottom. Unfortunately, it does run out of steam at the top. But the steering feels quick and tight. It almost feels like a go-kart to drive, so it gets second place. And at first place is obviously the Geely Coolray. This is the car to drive if you want a sporty crossover here in the Philippines.
Oh yeah.
With its 177 horsepower engine and its 7-speed dual clutch transmission, it is quick enough to leave a Civic SIR in the dust. It can do 0 to 100 kph in 7.6 seconds, which is sports car territory from back in the early 2000s. And it also looks the part. With its sport bucket seats, its sporty design, it's not just fast, it also looks fast. Next category is best in practicality. So this category will rank them based on cargo space, cabin space, number of seats, compartments, and also stuff that help when you're loading cargo at the back, like a power tailgate for example. Naturally, 7-seaters are going to be our top 3 picks in this category. At third place is the Maxus D60. The D60 has 900 liters of cargo space with the third row seats down. It doesn't have a power tailgate though, and also in terms of features, it is a bit behind the competition, so it's at third place. At second place is the Chery Tiggo 8. The Tiggo 8 is a handsome looking crossover, especially in this red color. With its third row folded, it has 890 liters of cargo space. It also has a power tailgate, and you don't even have to use your hands to open it, which is a huge help if you're carrying groceries. And at first place is the Geely Okavango. I feel like the Okavango suddenly made a lot of 7-seater MPVs look like relics of the past. In terms of interior quality, interior space, and just overall coolness, it is just playing on a different level compared to mainstream Japanese brands. Okay, so the Geely Okavango has 257 liters of space with the third row seats up. In terms of cargo space, the Okavango is class leading. It has a cavernous 1,200 liters of cargo space with just the third row seats folded. You get twice as much space if you fold the second row seats as well. You also get plenty of little compartments and areas where you can store your stuff. Next category is best exterior. Since this category is very subjective, I wanted you guys to select a winner. And congratulations to those who voted for the territory. It got more than 50% of the votes. At second place would be the Geely Coolray, and at third place would be the Okavango. Okay, so the best high-end. I think this is the most hotly contested price bracket in the local car industry right now. If you launch a crossover at this price bracket, it has to be really special because it'll be up against some very tough competition. So we'll pick 3 again, but this time, top 1 will be our best crossover of 2021. At third place is the Geely Okavango. I think the Okavango is set to redefine what we would come to expect from 7-seater MPVs or crossovers in the years to come. It offers refinement, tech, and an overall wow factor that you can't get from any of the mainstream 7-seater MPVs or SUVs right now. I think the 2 most important crossovers in the last year are the Geely Coolray and the Ford Territory. They're the most popular, they sold the most units, and they are the benchmarks that I compare everything to. They excel at different things. The Coolray excels at being a sporty crossover. The Territory doesn't excel at being sporty, but it excels at almost everything else. It has the most toys, the most driver assist features. It has adaptive cruise control, which I find very useful in city driving. It has automatic braking, which I think should be a standard feature on all vehicles now. Both crossovers are good, but unless you're looking specifically for a fast crossover, you'll get more for your money on the Territory. So it's my pick for the best crossover of 2021.